Right, so we're gonna talk about creating a campaign experiment. The campaign experiment feature has a lot of options, but what I'm gonna show you is for a search campaign, which is the primary one when we want to do a lot of experiments. But there's a lot you can experiment on, and we're gonna focus on just one thing, testing bid strategies. So we'll create an experiment to test one bid strategy against another in our campaign. And then we will run that experiment for some time and then see how it performs for you in the long run. So I'm going to take you through the steps of how you can create the experiment, show you the different options, and how you can get yours going. So experiments is right here, as you can see on your keywords, on your campaigns tab, you've got experiments there. And the thing about experiments now in Google Ads, compared to what we used to have before, these are now more powerful. They have some really good features, and I've done some great experiments that have helped me to learn and improve performance. It's one of the best ways to improve performance. The reason I want to show you for bid strategy is because bid strategy is one of the if you're making any changes in your campaign, and if you make a bid strategy change, it's almost like changing direction in how your campaign is going. So it's almost just changing and going in an opposite direction. It's different from doing changing keywords and ads. Those are smaller changes. Changing a bid strategy really makes a lot of difference in how things start to perform. So you need to be careful when you change bid strategy. In fact, I always say to clients, if you're running a campaign and it's working okay and it's all right, but you believe it can be better, and maybe you want to change the bid strategy and then see how it performs. The best thing is don't just change the bid strategy, because that means you could literally wipe out any performance you're getting. And that's not good. And sometimes when you change the bid strategy, it will come here. When you come here into status, you'll be able to see next to the campaign that it's in learning mode. And that needs at least 5 days. So just instead, just run an experiment. And then if it doesn't work out as you expect, you can just discard it and then go back to what you had before or test something else. Okay, so let's get to it. So if I click on experiments right there, um, you'll see it's loading and it will show you any experiments that we've had in the past. In this case, I think we've only had one. So if I want to get started with a new one, I can go plus there. And as you can see, we can run Performance Max, Demand Gen, Video, and so forth. And Google continuously changes this. So the next time you come in, you'll see things will likely have changed. The one that really interests me is search campaigns, and we need to run a custom experiment. So experiment with multiple campaign optimization for any campaign. So you can do that. So we'll start right here and go campaign experiment, and then we'll go with search, which is the default. You can do for display if you want, but search is what we want for the bid strategy. Then we click continue. And then it brings up this page where it shows you we've selected search. You can give your experiment a name. Um, let's say I want to test max clicks. Yeah, and maximize clicks and see how it works for me. Now, I'm going to pick the campaign I'm going to test and run the experiment for. So let's assume that the campaign that we are already running has got maybe manual bid strategy or maximize conversions, different from maximize clicks. We want to see how manual CPC, manual cost per click, will perform against maximize clicks. So that's what we name it. Then we need to pick the campaign. So the base campaign, select a campaign you want to experiment with. So if you go right there, I could go that one, Google Ads Specialist. So this is my campaign, and I've selected it right there, and it gives it a suffix for the treatment name, which is maximize clicks. So if I go save and continue, we come to this section right here where it shows us our campaign right there. So the base campaign already had a $400 budget, daily budget. So now this one is also going to be set at 400. So it copies everything exactly as our base campaign, and then it gives it a name there. I can change the name if I want, just really up to me and what you want to do. So that's what we have. Now, before we do anything else, you can see we've set it up. Now we need to make the changes. This is where we are. And then when we finish, we can schedule it and we'll go and click on there. So we want to go and make the change in the bid strategy. So if we go settings for this campaign, let's see. It takes a while to load sometimes. So let me click on the campaign there. Then it will bring up the settings. Yeah, so we're going into the campaign settings and we want to change it to maximize clicks so that we can test it against, yeah. So the base campaign has got manual CPC. So what we want to do in this one is change the bid strategy to maximize clicks. So there we go. So we're going to be testing manual CPC against maximize clicks. I can set a maximum CPC limit, but I'll just leave it at that and then I'll save it. Yeah. So that's all I'm going to change. When you're running experiments, don't try and experiment too many different things in one campaign because it won't give you accurate results. Just focus on this A/B kind of testing, especially when you've been running campaigns for a while. And generally, you should only run experiments when you've been running campaigns for a while and you now want to see if you make a certain change, there can be improvement. So I've made this change. I wouldn't change anything else. I want them to be exactly the same so that we test our bid strategy. As you can see, you can change all other things, but you will never get the best results out of that. Just focus on one thing at a time. And in this case, we are testing one bid strategy against another. So if I'm happy with that, I need to go and schedule it and I can go schedule right there, and then now I need to update these settings. So I need to say um, experiment goals, select up to two goals, other metrics will still be available to view. So you can select one or two uh, goals that you want to get from this. Most of the time, we want to get more conversions, obviously, or we want to get more sales and stuff like that, or more clicks, which really depends on what you want to do. I picked maximize clicks, but really, um, I want to get primarily more conversions because if I say more clicks, it should generally lead to more conversions. So there I want my main goal to be conversions and I want to see an increase. Definitely not a decrease. So an increase. And then we can select another one and say maybe clicks, and we also want to see an increase for clicks. Or you could say no significant change. And then, yeah, so those are the two we want to focus on. If you want, you can just focus on one. It's up to you. Then you can split the experiment. So select a portion of your original campaign's traffic and budget for this experiment. So you can split it 50-50, which is usually the best thing to do because doing that is just gives you more accurate data and it lets it run for a while and stuff like that. So I would go 50-50, but if you wanted, you could change it and say 70-30%, base campaign is 30, trial campaign is 70. Really up to you. But usually I do recommend 50%. And then the experiment start date, the experiment cannot start on the day that you created. So it wouldn't be able to start on the first. So we're talking second or which is tomorrow or any day in the future. So I could get this to start on the 2nd of April, duration 56 days, or you can set an end date in the future. The maximum is really 56 days. So you can set up to 56 days. So we'll leave it at 56. But if you get a lot of traffic, sometimes maybe a 2 week, 3 week experiment is fine. It just depends on your volume of traffic. There isn't a set figure. It just really up to you, depending on what you know about your traffic and how much you spend per click and stuff like that. And then it says here, finally enable sync, which is on. So any changes made to your base campaign, the main campaign will automatically sync to the trial campaign. So you don't have to make changes manually. I highly recommend this because sometimes you go to your base campaign, add negative keywords, do other changes. Just make sure they sync to the trial campaign so that you have accurate data and you experiment one like for like based on the base strategy. Um, yeah, so if you click on off, it changes made to your base campaign won't sync to the trial campaign, which is not really great. Yeah, so you definitely want them to sync so that you are just testing one thing, which is your base strategy. And if you're happy with all of that, just go create experiment and then you're done and it will start running from tomorrow or any date that you set in the future for however long you want, up to 56 days. So that's how you create an experiment. As I showed you, there's many different experiments you can set up, many things you can test. The possibilities really are endless, and it's just up to you and your plans and what you want to achieve and so forth. Thanks for watching this video. Please comment, please subscribe, reach out to me if you've got any questions or if there's any video you'd like me to create, I'll be happy to do so.